हरि ओम। वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Namaste friends. Welcome to session 137 of Bhagavad Gita verse by verse. Our study of chapter 18 known as Moksha Sannyasa Yoga will continue with the verses 31 to 35 of this chapter. Later, Kumari Manvi will chant these verses. Now, before Dr. Hegde sir will give introduction of today's class, Dr. Gautam Divakar sir will revisit the verses we studied in our last episode. Over to you, Divakar sir.
Thank you, sir. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. In chapter 18, Moksha Sannyasa Yoga, Shri Krishna gives Upasamhara, or the final summary of the entire Bhagavad Gita. After summing up the topics of Karma Yoga and Gnana Yoga till the verses 17, Shri Krishna deals with the cryptic analysis of 6 topics from the verses 18 till verse 40. These 6 topics are Gnanam, which is the knowledge; Karma, the action; Karta means the doer; Buddhi means intellect; Dhruti, which is willpower; and finally Sukham, which means happiness. Each of these topics are dealt under 3 headings: Sathvik, Rajasic, and Tamasic. Clear message is Sathvik quality should be completely avoided and gradually transcend from Rajasic to Tamasic qualities should be completely avoided and gradually transcend from Rajasic to Sattvic in order to identify with Gunatita nature of one's higher self, which is Satchidananda Atma. In the next slide, we see 2 out of the 6 topics were covered previously till the verse 25. From the verse 26 till 28, we will see the next topic, which is Karta. Again, Karta is analyzed under Sattvic, Rajasic, and Tamasic headings. Verse 18.26, Mukta Sango na ahamvadi, Dhrutyutsaha samanvitaha, Siddhya Siddhor nirvikaraha, Karta Sattvika Uchyate. This verse deals with the Sattvic Kartas. Who is the Sattvic Karta? He is the one who follows Sattvika Karma, which Shri Krishna has already dealt with in the earlier verses. Sattvika Karta is a Mukta Sangaha, the one who uses karma temporarily for Chitta Shuddhi and transcends karma. Swami Paramarthananda says, after attaining mental purity, karma becomes an obstacle, as karma makes a person extroverted and restless. And slowly, again, one starts to identify as a Karta. This can again lead to mental impurity. So, Mukta Sangaha means not identifying with any actions. This Sattvika Mukta Sangaha is also called as a Karma Yogi. This Sattvika Karma Yogi is Anahamvadi. Ahamvada means Ahankara. Anahamvada means not identifying with Ahankara, which is the ego. We know how any success can inflate our ego and reinforces our mamakara to one's position and our accomplishments. If we are humble and identify with our humbleness, then for sure there will be some undercurrents of arrogance, knowingly or unknowingly. Then the next quality of Sattvika Karma Yogi is Dhrutyutsaha Samanvitaha. He does the work with Dhruti, which is perseverance, and Utsaha, with lot of enthusiasm, and not dampened by the failures. And he remains equanimous to the results, which is Samanvitaha. Then Siddha Siddhayor Nirvikaraha. He enjoys balanced mind. Nirvikaratvam is the ability to discern the right from the wrong and not allowing the emotions to cloud this discerning power. So Sattvika Karta is a Karma Yogi who does the right actions with the right attitude with Ishvara Arpana and Prasada Bhava. So Sattvika Karta is free from attachment, from the egoism, and is endowed with will and enthusiasm, and who is unaffected in both success and the failures. In the next verse, which is verse 27, we will see Ragi Karma Pala Prepsuhu Lubdho Himsatmako Shuchihi Harsha Shokanvitah Karta Rajasah Parikirtitah. This verse deals with the Rajasic Kartas. They are those who does karmas with a lot of attachment. Rather than using karmas for the internal growth, they use the internal mind for the external material growth. Ragi does karmas with lot of attachments. They are desirous of results of the actions, karma palapreshuhu, and they are greedy and miserly, lubdaha, because of the misconception that the material results will give lasting security and peace. Once greed comes, they also become harmful to the society, himsatmakaha, as they start to violate dharma because of their impurities. So Rajasic Karta does the actions which with a lot of attachment. They are desirous of the results, greedy, harmful, impure, and subject to ups and downs. In the verse 28, we will see Ayukta Prakrita Stabdaha Shato Naishkriti Kolasaha Vishadi Dhirga Sutricha Karta Tamasa Uchyate. Tamasic Kartas are defined in this verse. They are Ayuktaha, lacking integrated personality, and are undisciplined. They are arrogant, Stabdaha, uncultured, Prakrita Janaha, which is opposite to Samskrita Janaha, who are cultured. They are deceptive and harmful, Shataha, Naishkritikaha. They are lazy, indolent, Alasaha, and are despondent and depressed, Vishadi, and they always procrastinate doing any good work, Dirga Sutri. So, Tamasic doers are undisciplined, uncultured, arrogant, deceptive, harmful, indolent, despondent, and always procrastinating. With this, Sri Krishna completes talking about different types of doers. The Karta topic is over. The next topic he teaches is Buddhi, which is the intellect, and Dhriti, the willpower, again under the three headings of Sattva, Rajasa, and Tamasic. You will see the verse 29, Buddher Bedam Dhritis Chaiva Gunatastri Vidan Shruno Procha Manama Sheshenu Pratakvena Dhananjaya. In this verse, both Buddhi, the intellect, and Dhriti, willpower, are introduced. Buddher Bedam. So Buddhi is also analyzed under three gunas, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. So is the Dhriti. And this explanation is given totally and very distinctly. In the verse 30, Pravrittincha Nivrittincha Karya Karye Bhaya Bhaye Bandham Mokshanchaya Veti Buddhissa Partha Satviki. This verse deals with the Sattvika intellect. Shastras give a lot of importance to the intellect of the human being, because with the right intellect, one can discern the eternal from the ephemeral. It's the other way around, ephemeral from the eternal. All discrimination, which is viveka, which happens at the intellectual level only. In the Ratha Kalpana example taken from Kathopanishad, Buddhi is compared to the driver, as only Buddhi can determine and execute the control over the reins, which is the emotional mind, and with that, the control of the sense organs, which are the horses. So Buddhi, the driver, determines the destination of our life, which is the Ratham. In the next slide, we see Sri Krishna says, Satvika Buddhi is that which is well informed and can discern, Veti, the following four factors. What are they? Number one, Pravrittincha Nivrittincha. Pravritti is the Karma Marga, the lifestyle for a Grihastha. And Nivritti is the Gnana Marga, as in the case of a sannyasi. And the next one is Karya Karye, meaning Karma Yoga. Karya, that is spiritually conducive, Sattvika Karma. And Akarya means that which is a prohibited karma. And then the number third is the Bhaya Bhaye. Bhaya means that which is not the source of security, which is nothing but the material world itself. Abhaya, that which is the real source of security, which is the spirituality, which is nothing but the Brahma Gnana. And then Bandham and Moksham, the causes of bondage, which is similar to the Bhayam, and then the Moksha, that which leads to liberation from the bondage. So a Sattvic intellect will have a clear discerning ability to differentiate between these above four pairs of the opposite. We will see the remaining segments of Buddhi and Dhriti in the subsequent verses. Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Divakar. That was an excellent summary of the verses we studied in the last class. Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Pariyantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om. One of the very common questions often asked when there is a religious person is what happens after death. Swami Anubhavanandaji very humorously would retort, and he says it depends upon your religion. If you are a Hindu, we will cremate. So immediately the person comes up, no, I'm not talking about the body, but what happens after death. So you will realize in moments of death, we are very clear that we are someone other than the body. As medical doctors, one of the problems that we have, one of the most difficult problems we have, is to break bad news, and especially bad news about death, especially if it has come in an unexpected situation, in a post-operative or in an ICU situation. The family is anxiously waiting outside. You have done all that is possible. Now you know that the person is no more, and you have to break bad news. Not only the family members, a lot of people have accumulated, and it is extremely difficult to accept the news of death. And the first reaction always is one of rejection. That is why whenever we break news about death, we cannot be vague. At the same time, the choice of words should be such that the person, the family is not offended. And with all the stress that we go through and given the circumstances, we finally end up by trying to say, in spite of all our efforts, I'm very sorry to say, he or she is no more. It takes some time for the family to come to terms. But the next question is, can we see the body? Now, can you see, the body is still there, but we are saying he is no more. So that means I am clearly someone other than the body. Something essential has left, although the body is still very much there. So these are some of the factors that we come to see, which are some of the most essentials in spirituality. One of the first steps in Vedanta is I am someone other than the body. A Zen master was asked this question, what happens after death? Zen people focus very much on the now. Their whole life and whole spirituality is being in the now. So his prompt answer was, I do not know. But the student wouldn't accept it. You are a master, you're supposed to know. He says, I'm not yet dead. Once I die, I will know. For Zen people, the nowness is more important. The whole of the Kathopanishad is a discussion between an ardent or an ideal student, Nachiketa, who had an opportunity to meet the god of death, Yamadharmaraja. And because through certain circumstances, he got 3 boons, the final boon he asks him was, what really happens after death? So this was the question, and the whole of the Kathopanishad is an answer to this question, really, what happens after death? Is there something that lives on, or what is our essential deathless nature, which the Upanishads deal with? The Bhagavad Gita is considered as Sarvopanishado Gavo Dogda Gopala Nandana. Shri Krishna has milked the essence of all the Upanishads and presented to us as the Bhagavad Gita. If there is one Upanishad where Shri Krishna seems to have taken more verses, most of them almost verbatim, is from the Kathopanishad. When we study the Gita, when we study the Upanishads, one thing becomes very clear, that there is something more important than life after death. Please think, what is more important than life after death? And that is life before death. Someone has very rightly said, today is the first day of the rest of your life. More important than what happens after death is, am I alive to the gift of my life at this moment? Am I living my life fully? Stephen Covey, in his very popular book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, gives a lot of importance onto this in the whole of management or in personal management, in what he calls as habit 2. And what is habit 2? Habit 2 is begin with the end in mind. That means if you want to live a worthwhile life, spend some time right in the beginning to see what exactly do you want in life. From your work angle, from a social angle, from a family angle, from a personal angle, and from a spiritual angle. So look at yourself multidimensionally and see how you can work yourself from all these angles, not as of now, but 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, depending upon your age. You know, when you expect to be the end of your life. Why? Because you can be very busy climbing the ladder of success only to realize that the ladder is leaning against the wrong wall. And therefore, one of the very important habits is to begin with the end in mind. So let us look at life before death. So, you know, I have so much more time to live possibly, but how do I make the most of my life? Swami Tejomananda has given us a very beautiful Samskrita birthday song, Janma Dinamidam Haipriya Sakhe. And this is what we use often to greet our friends. And there are a few words which I would like you to reflect on. One of the words is Punya Karmana. And when you greet somebody, may you do noble deeds. And in our own idea, when I have this gift of life, more than thinking of what happens, as long as I'm healthy, I have physical abilities, let me do noble deeds. Let me do punya karma. And in our own definition, punya karma is Ishvara Arpana Bhava, more of Sattvic, more of selfless activity, and not be really bound by the outcome of my results. And when you do so, when you do noble activities, this is not the intention. Kirtim Arjaya. We are not working for fame, but fame will come as a byproduct. And finally, the last line, which is a very powerful blessing that you give when you greet somebody on a birthday, is Jivanam Tava Bhavatu Sartak. May you live a very fulfilled life. Now, again, I'm focusing on life before death. Today is the first day of my rest of my life. Can we value every moment of our life to be able to live gratefully, to be able to live it as if it is a luxury, as if it is borrowed time, to be able to live it so fully? Stephen Covey has given 4 things for us to work on. In his book, First Things First, and the 4 L's are to live, to learn, to love, and to leave a legacy if you're going to live a fulfilled life, if your jiva has to be a sarthaka. Swami Anubhavananda says to live means to live your life 100%. Whatever you are doing, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, can you be 100%? Can you be in the moment, in real time, not in the world of thoughts? Whenever you are there 100%, you learn from every experience. You learn from successes, you learn from failure. Life can be fulfilled and utterly fulfilled if every interaction can be an interaction of love. When you see differences, but you make no distinction, when you don't differentiate, Atmau Pammena Sarvatra, Samam Pashyati Yorjuna. When you are able to see yourself in everybody, your ordinary relationship becomes one of love. And finally, with whatever abilities that God has given us, can we be able to live a life of contribution? Even greater than what Stephen Covey said is what Kabir gives in one of his dohas. Kabir said, I went searching for God. I went to Kaaba. I went to Kailash. Wherever I went, I could not see God. And in desperation, I decided if I can't see God, can I be like God? And he said 4 important things, he says, are divine qualities. First is the quality of true silence, where It is not that I'm not speaking, but my mind is silent. My mind is so still that nothing is going to disturb. No thoughts, no noise can disturb that silence. And if I can log on to that silence and I'm able to live every moment in that stillness of my mind, that, he says, is a divine quality. Second is to be aware, to be so sensitive. Not in your mind, but be very sensitive. Shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha. Again, life can be meaningful, colorful, if your life is a space where you can give love and to receive love. And finally, if you can celebrate every moment, if you can live life gratefully. Why are we studying the Gita? Why are we studying the Upanishads? It is for this reason. When Yamadharmaraja is going to come and take us away, we do not know. But until that moment, let us live a fulfilled life. We will begin the study of verse 31, and that will be explained to us by Triveni. Triveni, please.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Krishna takes up the topic of buddhi or intellect from verse 30 onwards. In the 30th verse, he has dealt with Sathvika intellect. And in this 31st verse, he speaks about Rajasic intellect, and in the next, he deals with the Tamasic. Yaya dharmam adharmam cha karyam cha karyameva cha ayathavat prajanati buddhissa partha rajasi. O Arjuna, Rajasic intellect is that by which one wrongly understands dharma and adharma, as well as the prescribed and the unprescribed and the prohibited. Intelligence in the mode of passion is always working perversely. It accepts religions which are not actually religions and rejects actual religion. All views and activities are misguided. Men of passionate intelligence understand a great soul to be a common man and accept a common man as a great soul. They think truth to be untruth and accept untruth as truth. In all activities, they simply take the wrong path. Therefore, their intelligence is in the mode of passion. Rajasic intellect is that which is riddled with doubts, and so it does not have clear knowledge about anything. It has got a lot of information regarding a lot of things. Even in spiritual life, the intellect is informed about a lot of sadhana, but there is no knowledge which sadhana is meant for which sadhyam. We know a lot about japa sadhana, meditation is a sadhana, pilgrimage is sadhana, study of scriptures is sadhana. So many things are there, but there is no clarity or there is confusion about what will lead to what destination. And therefore, Krishna says a confused intellect, a doubting intellect is Rajasic intellect. And doubts with regard to dharma, adharmam cha. Dharma means a lifestyle which will lead to spiritual growth. Dharma is a stepping stone to moksha, and adharma is that which takes one away from spiritual growth. Adharma may give a lot of money, adharma may give position, power, but adharma takes one away from spiritual growth. Therefore, an intellect which does not know what is dharma and adharma, and karyam and akaryam cha. Karya means what is to be done, akarya means what is not to be done, is the Rajasic intellect. And a Rajasic intellect is confused with regard to Shastriya karyam, akaryam, and laukika do's and don'ts. With regard to both, there are infinite doubts. Ayatavat prajanati. In the Mandukya Karika, it is seen that when there is a rope lying down in front and the place is brightly lit, there exists no problem, as it is clear that it is a rope. Total knowledge, there is no problem. It is bliss. And if it is total darkness, nothing is seen at all. Then also no problem. In fact, even if there is a real cobra, no worries because nothing is seen. In total knowledge and in total ignorance, there is no problem. But when there is partial lighting and partial darkness, there is something lying down, No one knows exactly what it is. This is called half knowledge or partial knowledge, which creates a lot of problems. Therefore, Krishna says, Ayatavat, that is because of the power of Rajoguna. Tamoguna is bliss, total ignorance also is bliss. Sattvaguna is bliss, total knowledge. Rajoguna is the problem. This is Rajasic intellect. And therefore, Ayatavat means knowing everything incompletely. And such an intellect, Sa Buddhihi Partha, hey Arjuna, is Rajasic Buddhi. The Rajasic intellect becomes mixed due to personal attachments. At times it sees clearly, but when interest, self-interest comes into play, it becomes tainted and confused. The Rajasic intellect, colored by attachments and aversions, likes and dislikes, is unable to discern the proper course of action. It becomes confused between the important and the trivial, the permanent and the transient, the valuable and the insignificant. Therefore, one who has not received this knowledge will always be unclear about what is dharma and what is not. Consequently, they will always be confused whether to act or not. Confusion will creep in if we forget our dharma and get swayed by egoism and attachment. Arjuna's attachment to his family members, the Kauravas, triggered this confusion with regard to his duty as a warrior. Sri Krishna had to teach him the science of Karma Yoga to remove this confusion. So then, whenever our intellect gets confused about whether to act or not, we can assume that it is Rajasic, tinged with selfishness. Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Triveni, for a nice explanation of what is this Rajasa Buddhi. Our body is our great treasure. Even greater is our mind. And if you see the various components, it is Manas, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankara. Of them, the real gift is the gift of our Buddhi. And if our Buddhi is right, our life becomes right. Now you will see if a person has Rajasic Buddhi, then there will be confusion because it is half knowledge. You know what is right and what is wrong, and then you are driven by your desires, and therefore there can be a mistake between right and wrong, and the intellect can be wrongly used in Rajasic Buddhi. We will come to the worst aspect. What is this Tamasic Buddhi? Dr. Asha Naik, please.
Om Gurubhyo Namah, Jai Gurudev. 18th chapter is summarization of entire Bhagavad Gita. Dr. Divakar already has introduced, so let's go to the fourth topic of Buddhi, which is very important as told in Kathopanishad, because it is a driver's seat and it gives direction. Next slide, sir. The verse goes like this. Adhamam dharmamiti manyate tamasavrita sarvathan viparatancha buddhi sa partha tamasi. Next slide, sir. The meaning is, O Arjuna, tamasic intellect is that which is veiled by tamas and which, regardless of adharma as a dharma, and which view everything perversely. Next slide, sir. We go word by word. Adharmam dharmamiti manyate. So Krishna defines tamasic intellect, which does not have any doubt at all, because it appears to be wise intellect. And why does this happen? Because of wrong conclusion. And this wrong conclusion is made from a wrong knowledge, that is viparita knowledge or viparita jnanam. And this wrong knowledge, he strongly holds on, thinking that it is right thing. And therefore, adharmam, dharmam iti. Exactly like Arjuna in the first chapter. Arjuna wrongly concludes that Mahabharata was adharma and should be stopped. And he thinks he has got right vision, right buddhi, and starts lecturing Sri Krishna, saying, Kulakshaye pranashanti kuladharma sanatana. Next slide, sir. Next word is tamasavrita. Tamasic intellect is firm and regarding its false knowledge. Therefore, problem is what? You can never correct tamasic person. Tamasic person is very, very sure about his wrong knowledge as a right knowledge. In Mundaka, it is told that avidya mantare vartamana swayam dhira pandita manyamana. So they think they have the right knowledge. Therefore, adharmam dharmam iti manyate. They believe. Because of what? They're covered by tamoguna. Tamasavrta is covering of tamoguna. Next slide, sir. Sarvatan viparitancha. Sarvatan means what? Sarvatan can be taken in all the subjects in this world and every objective in this world. All means artha, kama, dharma and moksha. We consider artha as a purushartha. Now regarding each purushartha, there is confusion or misconception. You compare Lakshmi Devi. Lakshmi Devi, according to spiritual person, we should not have, we should not touch it. It is bad. That is also wrong. Another misconception is that it gives all the peace and happiness in life. That also is misconception. Another example is moksha is only for old people. Only they have to study spiritual study and go for Gita class. That also is a wrong. Next slide, sir. So Sa Buddhi here Swami Paramarthan talk about 4 topics of intellect. That is one person who doesn't know and he doesn't know that he doesn't know. He's a fool. The second person, he knows that he doesn't know. He's ignorant, teach him. Third one, he knows but he's not aware of him. Like example, Hanuman. Jatayu had tell him that you have all the power. It is like Hanuman. Third person, he knows and he knows that he knows is like Krishna and you follow him. Next slide, sir. So fifth variety is a tamasic intellect. He does not know and thinks he knows. So he does not want to learn anything from others. He criticizes parents, teachers, sannyasi and scriptures. And he passes comment on such a people. You cannot communicate with such people. You have to just leave them. And if it happens in one place, you can call it aberration. But tamasic person, each and every case he has got wrong knowledge, like Ravana and Duryodhana. Next slide, sir. So conclusion is intelligence in the mode of ignorance is always working the opposite of the way it should. It accepts religion, which are not actually religion, and rejects actual religion. Men in ignorance understand a great soul to be a common man and accept a common man as a great soul. They think truth to be untruth and accept untruth as a truth. In all activities, they simply take wrong path. Therefore, their intelligence is in the mode of ignorance. Lord Krishna said that those whose buddhi or intellect is situated in tamoguna or mode of ignorance are enveloped in darkness with a mentality whose understanding is distorted. They are unable to discriminate between what is real and what is false, what is to be done and what should not be done. Embracing inferior conception, they are devoid of actual knowledge. They desire what to be rejected and reject what ought to be desired. Hence, their delusion increases. Hari Om.
Thank you very much, madam. That was a very clear verse by verse, word by word explanation of what is this tamasa buddhi. And let us always see that tamasa buddhi does not refer to a particular kind of people, but the same tendency can be in all of us when our intellect is clouded by desire, ignorance, and therefore we can choose the wrong thing. We now come to a new topic, and this will be Shamala speaking to us about Sathvika Dhriti. Shamala.
Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. With the previous verse, the 3 types of intellect or buddhi are over. Now, Krishna wants to enter into the willpower topic from the 33rd verse. The Sattvic willpower is explained in this verse. Dhrutyaya dharayate manah pranendriya kriyaha yogena vyabhicharinya dhruti sa partha satviki. Next slide, please. For spiritual success, clear intellect alone is not sufficient. one requires a strong willpower also. Since Krishna deals with the topic of willpower, it is very clear that the human beings do have a free will. Many people have got a misconception that everything is predetermined by fate. This is an unfortunate misconception. Krishna makes it very clear that scriptures do not say fate is not there. Fate is nothing but our own prarabdha karma, which we have done in this life and in the past life. Fate does influence our future, but what the scriptures say, fate is not the only factor. Fate is one of the factors determining. There are other factors also. And the most powerful second factor is our own will. And with our willpower, we can change the course of the fate from I can't to I can to I will. Swami Paramarthananda talked about this fate elaborately. Next slide, please. If the fate is very, very powerful, then the free will may not be able to conquer it, but it can reduce the impact of the fate. And when the fate is medium, neither too powerful nor too weak, we can manage and we can keep the fate under check. When the fate is feeble, we do have the capacity to completely wipe out the effect of the fate. Swamiji has compared the fate with the 3 types of diseases in the next slide. If it is terminal, nothing can be done. Second type, some diseases cannot be cured, but we can keep them under control like pressure, diabetes, etc. Third type, certain diseases can be cured with medicines. Similarly, fate is graded. Next slide, please. If we are intelligent enough, our ultimate goal will be moksha, emotional independence. To reach this goal, Atmajnanam is the only means. Atmajnanam requires a refined and focused mind, which can be attained by leading a dharmic life. For this, Sattvic power is required. Sattvic willpower is required. So in this verse 33, Krishna defines Sattvic willpower. Dhritya means willpower. Yaya means by which. Dharayate, this person sustains the spiritual sadhana. At which level? At the level of mana prana indriya kriyaha. Prana means pancha pranas and indriya means the 10 sense organs. Kriya means their functions. In short, what all activities he undertakes are going to influence the mind. Therefore, every moment, every word, every thought, every action should be spiritual friendly. Spiritual life is not a casual thing. It is a responsible and a big decision that one has to take. And therefore, mana prana indriya kriya dharayate, which means there must be regular introspection. Which direction I am going? Am I going forward, or I am stagnant, or I am going backward? Swami Shivananda used to talk about writing a spiritual diary every day. Vyabhicharinya, without deviating from the goal. And how do you do that? Yogena, by the practice of yoga, and especially the Ashtanga yoga. Patanjali's yoga is a wonderful system for focusing the mind. In fact, the very definition of yoga given there is chitta vritti nirodha, means directing the thoughts, not controlling the thoughts. If my thoughts are well directed, my words are well directed. If my words and thoughts are well directed, my actions are well directed. By the practice of yoga, a person can develop the capacity of keeping the life in the route of moksha. So, moksha marge, we have to supply. Dhriti sa partha satviki. O Arjuna, such a willpower is called Sattvic willpower. Hari Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Thank you, Shamila. That was an excellent explanation of this verse. What is Sattvika Dhriti? Especially for those in the spiritual path. For me, Sattvika Dhriti really means Tivra Mumukshatva. I want it and I'm ready to give whatever is required for that. And if you have that kind of a will, that is what is called a Sathvika Dhriti. And once we are clear, this is what I want. Like, Tilak had said, freedom is my birthright and I will have it. So for us, I would like to be able to get spiritual knowledge. And spiritual knowledge is something that I'm going to work for it, come what may. Avyabhicharena. And this kind of dhriti is there. That is the only one that keeps us on the path. Now we will come to see what is Rajasic Dhriti, and that will be explained to us by Smita. Smita, please.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. The verse 34 goes like this. Yaya tu dharma kamartan dhritya dharayate arjuna prasangena palakangshi dhriti sa partha rajasi. The verse 33 explained about Sathvik will. Now here in this verse, Lord Krishna defines the willpower of a Rajasic person. This also is a very powerful will. But the willpower here is utilized for material success. Either he does not know about the spiritual success or does not believe in spirituality goals. His philosophy is happiness depends upon materialistic accomplishments other than moksha. So this person is successful from the worldly angle because majority of the world measures success only in terms of material gain. Whereas in case of Sattvic person, success lies in attaining moksha. In both, that is success in spiritual path and success in attaining material accomplishments, we see both requires willpower. Therefore, willpower is important for any success, whether it is spiritual success or material success. One is called Sathvik Will, the other is called Rajasic Will. Shri Krishna asks us to decide what we want to achieve in life. Both require willpower. This is the essence of this shloka. The Bhashyam goes like this. Yaya tu dharma kamartan, dharmascha kamascha artascha, dharma kamartaha, tan dharma kamartan, dhritya yaya dharate manasi, nityameva kartavya rupan, avadharayati ye arjuna, prasangena yasya dharma dehe, dharana prasangha tena prasangena, phala kangshicha, bhavati ya purushaha tasya dhrutihi, ya sa partha rajasi. Here, the goal is dharma, artha and kama. Moksha is not at all kept in view, even when he wants to earn punyam. There are two types of punyam. One is nishkama karma and pancha maha karma, which produces spiritual punyam. All the sakama karmas will produce material punyam. Therefore, kamya karmani will come under Rajasic willpower. Nishkama karma comes under Sattvic willpower. There will always be temptation for the kamya karmani, especially when problems are there. We tend to do pujas only for solving the problems. Now here the punyam gained through puja to solve the problem is called materialistic punyam, and therefore it is dharma kamartan. Here dharma means punyam gained through materialistic means. Next comes kamaha, means all the sense pleasures, and sense pleasures involve gross ones as well as subtle ones. Then we move on to arthaha, which means all forms of wealth. Tandritya dharayate means that is Rajasic person continues sadhana for days and days. It is because manasi nitya kartavyata rupena. In the mind, he's got a strong decision or willpower to push himself to the maximum. This is called yogena avyabhicharinya. Here also yoga is required, commitment is required. Avadharayate, the one who understands in this manner is called Rajasic willpower. And when he puts forth this motive is always worldly accomplishment. In his mind, there is no idea of sadhana chatushtaya sampatti or internal transformation, which is not his primary aim. External change and improvement is a byproduct for Sattvic willpower, and primary product is internal transformation. And for Rajasic willpower, the external transformation is primary, and internal transformation, if it happens, let it happen. for a Rajasic will is either involved in dharma, karma, action of dharma, purushartha, action for artha purushartha, or action for karma purushartha. Whatever action he does, he is fully to gain specific external results. So the Anvaya goes like this. Hey Arjuna, prasangena phalakankshi, yaya dhritya tu dharma kamartan, dharyate sadhritihi, rajasi bhavati he partha. Thank you. Hari Om.
Thank you very much, Smita. Another wonderful explanation of this verse. So nice to see everyone do their homework so well and present so clearly. So this is what is Rajasic Dhriti. There is a lot of Dhriti, but of course, everything directed towards materialistic goals. And the whole glory of a human birth is Manushutvam, Mumukshutvam, Mahapurusha. And when we have this, can we work for something higher than being materialistic? And then we will see what is the worst form. Vinayakan, please.
Hari Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. So the third type of willpower, that Tamasic willpower, is explained through these verses. So 35th verse goes like this. Yaya sopnam bhayam shokam vishadam madamevacha na vimunchati durmedha dhriti sapartha tamasi. Sir, next slide, please. The meaning, O Arjuna, Tamasic will is that by which an indiscriminate person does not give up sleep, fear, sorrow, depression, and indulgence. So the Tamasic willpower is that by which a person fanatically avoids karma that requires a willpower. He also holds on to certain things staunchly. Next slide, sir. So the first line says, Sopnam bhayam shokam vishadam madamevacha. Here, Sopnam na vimunjati. Here, Sopnam means daydreaming. He does not act in the world, but these people or this kind of willpower people only knows to dream, not to act. Swamiji says, if we have inherited wealth and we do not need money, it does not mean we should not work. In fact, we can happily work for the benefit of the society, which will in turn benefit for us by giving Chitta Shuddhi. But these Tamasic willpower people will not do that. And next is Bhayam na vimunjati. These kind of Tamasic willpower people does not undertake anything because of fear of failure. He does not want to fail in life. He wants only success. But unfortunately, nobody can get success straight away, the first time itself. So due to the fear of failure, these Tamasic people will not do any tough or challenging actions. Next is Shokam. The one who faces experience in the world, this experience brings sorrow or problems also, apart from happiness. But many of our worries can be overcome if we have an active life. Activity is a wonderful medicine for sorrow. Activity is wonderful medicine for anxiety and depression also. But this kind of Tamasic willpower people will refuse to be active. Therefore, every experience will only cause sorrow for them. Next is Vishadam. Next slide, sir. Vishadam means depression, lack of motivation, all the time in low moods. Shankaracharya calls it as avasanna bhava. All the time this person is in low condition. That is called Vishada. The next is Madam. Madam means sensory addiction. Sensory addiction. So that only sensory addiction and pleasures only these people will follow. And Mada means sensory addiction. There is no dharma, artha, kama, mokshartha for this kind of Tamasic peoples. And there should not be any goal also. So Lord Krishna says, Durmedha, perverted intellect. We can never convince them. If we try to convince or talk to them, they will ask us why to follow this sensory control and all. So they will follow Charvaka philosophy. And this kind of willpower is called Tamasic willpower. With this, three type of willpower is over. So Lord Krishna tries to teach us to gradually shift from Tamasic to Rajasic to Sattvic willpower. That should be our goal. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Vinayakan, for another nice explanation. It is so nice to see all the verses being so clearly explained. And so we have a clear explanation of these three types of willpowers, which does not mean three kinds of people, but the same will in me can once be tamasic, rajasic, or sattvic, and therefore consciously move from tamas, rajas to sattva. We will now have the chanting of these verses by Manvi. Manvi, please.
Rubhyo namaha harihi om yaya dharmam adharmam cha karyam cha karyameva cha ayatavat prajanati buddhissa partha rajasi adharmam dharmamitiya manyate tamasa vrita sarvarthan viparitanshcha buddhissa partha tamasi dhrityaya dharayate manah pranendriya kriyaha yogena vyabhicharinya dhritiksa partha satviki yaya tu dharma kamarthan dhrityadharayate arjuna prasangena phalakanshi dhritiksa partha rajasi yaya swapnam bhayam shokam vishadam madameva cha na vimunchati durmedha dhritiksa partha tamasi harihi om.
Thank you, Manvi, for your immaculate chanting. Thank you, all speakers, for a wonderful class. Thank you, friends, for your active participation. On Monday, 6th March 2023, let us log in for a new session 49 of Disha for the discovery of inner strength and happiness at 6:45 p.m. In this episode, Disha, we will be commencing Vishwarupa Darshana Yoga along with the topic of Karma Yoga in Tattvabodha. With this, let us conclude today's session with our usual Shanti mantra. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.